It's Clark and Perry on the case.
Da-na-na-na, Clark and Perry.
Do what it takes.
Da-na-na-na, Clark and Perry.
Investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.
Da-na-na-na.
Welcome once again to another episode and feature of the Windy City's finest. I'm Clark, and this guy is Perry. And today, basically, I guess we're pretty much at a season finale. We're going to go through a few questions, I guess, that some of our interviewees and subjects have sent to us. And today I'm on the hot seat. So,
and I will be there shortly after.
For people's context, I haven't looked at the questions at all. All right, at least I've skimmed a few. So I kind of know what I'm expecting, but I've tried my best to keep it as far away from me as possible. Perry's going to be a lot more rehearsed.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to hit myself.
Under the bus.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I'm super excited to dive into it, and so, yeah, Perry.
I will give you the first question.
Excellent.
Our first question is from Darren.
Darren.
Yeah, and
Darren
that is
Clisby.
Darren Clisby. And that is, what were some of the most intriguing or unexpected insights you gained while interviewing creative individuals?
Yeah, no, it was just, for me, I'm such a visual person, and especially when I'm a visual and kinesthetic learner, I describe myself as, which basically means I learn by doing and I learn by watching somebody do. Like, tell me, before this project, tell me how a potter actually goes and does their work, or an illustrator goes and actually draws, or a painter begins a painting. For me, no idea. No context. I don't understand just by auditory alone. Like, you can't just explain that stuff for me. And I thought it was just diving into the process, I think, was just so valuable for me. Really broke things down, started it brick by brick, and then just added a layer. There are definitely things that, I'm still not good at. I was never anticipating to be good at a lot of these things, but for me, that's been very insightful, with just being able to find out, hey, this is where I can start if I was interested in taking it further.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice. Great. Our next question is also from Darren. Yeah, and that is, in what ways do you think the experience of interviewing creative people might impact your own creative aspirations, which you kind of just talked to briefly there. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for myself, I know, I my background is acting, so I did theatrical works and all that such too. And for me, learning and seeing all this different type of artistry and getting to know these different types of artists is, one, really good for character development, because you get to know these different people and their mannerisms and how to communicate with them. But you also kind of get a sense of hey, if I ever needed to play a role that this character was a painter or something like that, though I don't have that many skills in painting, you can still have some kind of informal experience that you can kind of draw upon as well too. So that's pretty much, for me, that's going to really help with character development if I decide to do more theater or other films or something like that. Or in general, I feel like I'm more well-rounded now that I've seen and I've kind of hands-on done some of these things too.
Yeah. And what about, if I may just kind of build on this question a little bit?
Classic. Okay. All right.
But I mean, we kind of produced this project together.
Mm-hmm.
And so is there been anything in that, and just how we've, this project has afforded us the opportunity to interact with people? Because I mean, for myself, and maybe I could get more to this later, not to steal your spotlight.
Hey, no, it's all good.
But it's just that idea of, I would never have gone up to Darren before this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ask them how they do what it is they do, And
yeah, you wouldn't have ever thought that some of the things that we just featured was something that we could have featured. For me, I think photography was one that we had talked about a lot, being I'm not too how actionable is it going to be? Because we still wanted something that was visually appealing as much as we were capable of initially doing, for, of course, our viewers and just ourselves, more likely the case. For myself, I need something that's visually interesting, as much as it can. But yeah, no, that's a good question. There was a few things that I definitely anticipated would be like, oh man, how are we going to make this work? And then it just fell into place. Like I still remember like doing the feature with Alex Watts. I think that was episode 5.
5, I think. Yeah.
So check that one out. That one was really cool because that was like my first experience looking to see how we feature photography for our for an hour. Like how long do we create this feature, like, and how do we present it in the best light? No pun intended. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun just seeing how things could work and talking to you about like how we make like how can we make a better plan on this? Were there things that required more planning? Hey, I have this idea and all that stuff too. And yeah, no, it was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Different problems with every different feature.
Yeah, lots of problem solving and kind of pivoting, and for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just going back to Darren's question here, like this idea of creative individuals and creative people, I'm just wondering if there's anything in that, like a question in that of like, I don't know, like, do you think about like interviewing and asking more in-depth kind of questions with people in your like everyday life, or like outside of like this project? Is that something you've kind of
because it taught me that everybody's got a very interesting story, right? And everybody's got a very interesting background and things to show off and feature and all that stuff too. Like, I mean, everybody's got like some like odd collectible in their home or what they might consider like a weird hobby. And I just thought it was so cool to talk about people's weird hobbies,
right?
Or actual things that wanted to become a career, or just show off. Like I still remember Corley Farrell, the mugs that we did as well too. They were so cute and just like so quirky and fun, and just seeing that out of every single person we did was just really fulfilling for us, because we're emerging, we're uncomfortable, but trying to make everybody else comfortable and the experience as well too. But and like, I mean, we were very jittery, I think, in the first few episodes, but I think it was a lot of fun just figuring out and just showing off people's stories, I guess.
I think there's something there in the fact that like we have our own stories as well that we're trying to tell, and what it means to like listen as much as do and facilitate and
kind of share like some similar experiences as well too, because I know like Darren in particular, we're both role-playing fans, and like just having a kind of like soundboard to kind of go off of, like, it was really cool.
And our next question for you is from Dawn, and it is, what is something that you learned about yourself through doing this project?
So what I learned about myself, first off, it was very interesting. Like as an actor, especially, one thing at a time. I thought it was very interesting going through the editing process, because I learned a lot. I wasn't much of a video editor at all, and now I can say, yay, I can throw it on a resume and say that I have basic skills in video editing or something. But not only that, it was very interesting to watch myself and my mannerisms and how I question and go about conversation in the edits. And oh man, when you're pouring about like maybe 2 to 4 hours over one episode watching yourself, it can be, you can definitely kind of like, okay, I say that a lot, or as well too. I said that a lot.
Right.
I clocked that almost too many times.
Yeah.
So it was, but I've never actually had that experience. I actually, despite, being theater acting, I've done a couple feature films that haven't been necessarily, and with a couple like speaking roles, but they haven't necessarily been released in my possession yet, still in post and all that. But, that experience alone is just so valuable. And I'm hoping that in contrast to perhaps our first episode, this one shows off how much more comfortable we are in front of the camera too. Because I know I've definitely loosened up. I'm able to joke around a little bit more and just be kind of fluid as well too. It's given me a larger perspective about myself on how I come across, and that I feel like I can definitely work into and lean on a little bit more as well too.
As well too. I love it. Awesome. The next question from Dawn is, were there any activities that surprised you during the project with how easy or difficult they were?
Ooh, that is a very good question, Don. Okay. Yes, absolutely. I have been constantly imitated by illustration or drawing. I've never been able to like get into it. I've always had like this artistic like desire to draw something or create something, so I've used different applications to create maps, for example. But I've never been able to take a pencil and draw. It's just stick figures. And that for me, like witnessing the breakdown that Elijah had done, I think was this episode 16. Okay,
or no, 15
maybe? Or 16 or so. 15. Anyways, keep an eye out for that one, folks. But that breakdown was just so helpful for me. Like I just never thought the breakdown of that process could be that simple,
right?
And it just blew my mind.
Right.
It really just blew my mind. And I think that, and then I think we interviewed a few painters as well too. So we did Melissa Fry, we did Teresa Eisenbarth as well too. Painting was definitely something that I was quite intimidated by, but it was very smooth. I felt like I learned a lot just doing that. So yeah, that's a good question, Don. I thought that was those ones were a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think what you say is kind of maybe there's some universality in that. In that, even though you are a creative individual, a creative person, but then there are certain avenues and disciplines that you don't have experience in, that you don't have confidence in, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's been a beautiful thing about this project, is just being able to open ourselves up to those experiences and try those things.
No, absolutely. It was very, very cool for me to try those things and to watch those things get broken down, like I mentioned before.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Nice. Next question is from Chandra.
Chandra.
Oh, too good.
Thank you so much, Chandra.
Chandra Deck.
Yes, Chandra Deck. Chandra Deck.
Do you want to speak to that at all? Or
yeah,
not really?
Okay. we're laughing because I mean, obviously we've been learning through this entire process. Chandra, you were so good to us. You were almost too good to us. I was getting the pronunciation of the last name incorrect the entire time, and I mean, in post we were like, but we had this footage, and I was like, well, yeah, we edited it and put it together. So yes, let me put the record straight. Chandra Deck, thank you. Yeah. Your contemporary dancing was amazing, and yes, it was so much fun.
Yeah,
that was the most memorable piece, I feel. But that is a funny learning moment that we had.
So. And Chandra's first question for you is,
lay it on me.
It's a two-part question.
Ooh.
Okay. So it's kind of a yes or no thing. So do you remember your dreams? And then the other part to that is, if so, what is the last one you remember, or one of your most memorable?
Okay. Okay, you're about to dive in a little bit into my psyche, folks. Do I remember my dreams?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Okay. Perry, I'm relying on you not to let me go on a tangent. So, my childhood. I never had good dreams. I had nightmares. And the ones that I would remember vividly was that Jurassic Park used to terrify me. It was the Velociraptors. I was always afraid of being eaten by a Velociraptor. Iconic. And it was really good parts of the movie too, right?
Yeah.
And
but terrifying.
But terrifying at the same time when you're a kid. And I remember I've had, even in my adult life, I've had the same like dream like 4 times now in my lifespan. It's the same Velociraptor coming after me. I'm in the classic movie scene, like inside the kitchen and all that stuff too. It's storming outside, blah, blah, blah. And it always is able to find me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, I mean, that is definitely my more memorable dream, not my best dream. But I think probably my happiest, on the flip side now, my happiest, most memorable dream is that I'm such a huge TTRPG fan, as Darren Clisby and I kind of go into a little bit on character development. My first time lucid dreaming, I was able to get myself out of the headspace of a potential nightmare and become like the Superman person,
Mm.
and then, you know, defeated the bad guys that were after me. And then I think what happened next was that I created like a D&D story. So I became like the classic sword and board or shield and sword person. And then we went dungeon delving with a couple party members. I think it was a paladin.
Nice.
I remember it quite vividly because I was like, it was a lot of fun. Because again, you were just so aware that it was a dream,
Mhm.
that you wanted to go further, but then you also were kind of like, oh, but yeah, what else can I do with this? Like, what else am I seeing and everything? But yeah, so I remember most of my dreams for sure. They're not all great, but they're definitely, but there's definitely some golden nuggets
Yeah.
littered in between.
I'm just about to say, yeah, it's very interesting what, you know, you can find inspiration in.
Yeah.
And so it sounded like, so you had a dream and then you kind of actually made a D&D campaign
Yeah.
kind of based around it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was literally like because I remember I was running away and I was getting chased, because it's always like I'm getting chased by something.
Mhm.
And I just remember I was like, I just need to turn around. Like
Right.
there was something about it. Like I told myself, it was like, turn around. And I just turned. And then I just like, in my dream, I was like, I puffed out my chest. I was like, dude, because I think I was like in like middle school or something like that. So I was very like Superman inspired. I was like, ah,
Yeah.
and the bad person just came over and like went to like go and hit me, and it just bounced off my chest. And I looked down and I saw the S, and I was like,
Iconic.
yeah, it was really cool. And then I realized I was like, I'm in, and I was like, this is it. It clicked for me. I was like, I'm in control now.
Right.
Boom, right to Saturn.
Yeah.
It was cool. But anyways,
Nice. Interesting.
I get
Yeah.
chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
That was fun. These are great questions.
Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah. Okay. The next one from Chandra is, and there's maybe two parts to it. So what is something you do differently than everyone else? And then why is it a conscious effort? So, I mean, yeah.
Interesting.
So what is
Okay.
something you do differently than everyone else?
Oh, that is
Which is kind of hard to tell. I
yeah,
think,
that
sometimes.
is like you
So-
really have to kind of step back and be more self-aware on that.
Mhm.
And not to toot my own horn, but I like to say that again, I try to be as conscious.
Conscientious?
I
can't even say
both
it.
of us can't even say it right now on camera.
Conscientious. Conscientious.
I think people know what we're trying to say.
Yes.
They're Googling it right now,
Yeah.
what the pronunciation is.
I couldn't even spell it. I could not spell it for you.
No,
if you
don't
asked.
ask me
Yeah.
either. But basically, I try to be, I try to be aware of what's going on in my life, like how I'm coming across, and I try to be courteous. That's what I think I try.
Right.
Actually, yes, no. Again, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I try to be as courteous as possible.
Right.
Trying to just be in the other person's shoes. That's what I like to think that I'm pretty good at.
Right.
Of just understanding where they're maybe coming from and just being patient with that. And that has really helped me with my people skills for obvious reasons and all that. And why, and sorry, what was the second part of that?
And the second part is, it says why, and then is it a conscious effort?
Yes.
So,
It
yeah.
absolutely is, because I know it's good for people skills, and just again, it's that point of understanding, right? And I
Right.
mean, I'm not going to go too much on a tangent, but even taking it to a high level, let's just say like politics or something like that. I personally, when I go through a feed of like YouTube Shorts or TikTok or something like that, there's all different types of like content, right? There's comedy, but there's also political stuff. Despite myself running into maybe a political belief that I don't believe in, I watch it all throughout so that I can at least take that and then try to work my way around it and teach myself something from their perspective.
Right.
Understand maybe where they're coming from.
Mhm.
There is a line, obviously. There are
For sure.
sometimes content creators that are maybe taking things too far. But for the most part, I try to watch something to its entirety so that I can try to just glean more of an understanding of somebody else. So that is, I'm becoming more conscientious. I tried.
Conscientious.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
You're gonna be so great. You're gonna be so great when you're in this seat. But I've definitely become more aware that I do that now. So
That's
that was
awesome.
yeah, that was a great
And
question.
I actually have to build on that a little bit.
Sure.
Does that come from your acting training at all?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, or at least I try to relate it to.
Mm.
Again, like we try our best to understand people as much as possible, because even when you're playing a villain, the villain doesn't think that they are the villain.
Oftentimes, yeah.
They often think that they're the hero or something, right? Or likewise. Because yeah, like, I mean, I could get into the philosophical part on that, but I think for the most part, yes, I try to just understand somebody else and try to understand where they're coming from, even if I believe that they're wrong.
Right.
I try to understand where they're coming from, why they think that, so that I can better glean and communicate with them.
Communicate with them, yeah.
On the same level, neutral heads and everything, because everybody can get so fired up so quickly, and I just don't have the energy to be that fired up all the time. I don't think I want to do that.
No.
So
yeah, no, and like what you said about trying to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and that it reminds me of that idea of empathy over sympathy, and I think the difference is being able to put yourself in somebody's shoes and really relate to them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that really resonated with me, and as far as acting is concerned and everything, and I just wanted to highlight that for sure.
Yeah.
It's Clark and Perry on the case.
Clark and Perry.
Do what it takes.
Clark and Perry.
Investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.